Hi, Matt Noyes. This Insight today, almost a technical discussion in a way. I really wanted to kind of dig into what we talked about a little bit in pattern predictions yesterday, which are the big changes that we think are coming up by early November, but also what happens between now and then. A couple of energetic disturbances, a couple of cold fronts. It's Siberian cold on the move that really is catching my eye over the next week, and we're going to talk about that and how that does often signal a more impressive weather shift that's coming down the line, particularly in the jet stream pattern. Last 24 hours, some precipitation in the nation's midsection with thunderstorms. Same deal down in Florida. The eastern seaboard remains dry. We've talked a lot about this in the Insights video over the course of the last week or two. The fact that it's a big, deep area, high pressure, surface and aloft, all the way through the jet stream level. Here comes a cold front ready to put an end to the mild stuff. Not in here yet tomorrow. So you get breezy out of the south, and we'll look at that in a minute. And then you've got the new cool air coming in Thursday. It's a shot of cool. It eases to start the weekend, and then another shot comes in at the end of the weekend to early next week. In terms of the wind, there's not a whole lot of that to go around today. It's actually been a light onshore wind in a number of spots. By the time we get to tomorrow, here comes the southerly wind. That's where your gusts are going over 20 miles per hour. You're doing it with dry air. That does raise the brush fire danger. And then Thursday, behind a cold front that comes through, you've got a northwest wind, and your gusts may be 30 or 35 miles per hour. It's going to be a brisk day in that case. You know, today we're talking about a fire risk that mostly is focused across the Midwest and the nation's midsection. Here at home, of course, it's still very dry. There's a lot of tinder that's there and ready to burn should any brush fires begin. Just keep in mind, you want to be really careful with any amount of burning. There are burn bans in a number of towns. Notice on Wednesday, you almost creep up right into that moderate category. And this is like a national scale. So this is a little bit more than what you might see on the local fire department sign, where some towns certainly have been at a high fire danger over the course of the last couple of days as well. So that's the thought process going through Wednesday. When we look at rain over the next 48 hours through Thursday morning, you do get clipped. You don't get a lot. We think it's probably in New England going to end up being, for many of us, on the order of a few hundredths of an inch. Some of us not even picking up that, not even getting a shower when the cold front comes by overnight Wednesday night. And then Thursday morning, there may still be some showers from Boston south and east through southeastern Mass. You may have to deal with a couple of raindrops in the first part of Thursday before it starts drying out. If you trace the atmospheric energy, there's two things really going on. One is a northern stream disturbance driving the cold front, and here it comes at midnight Thursday, so overnight Wednesday night. But there's what's left of Oscar. This does throw, and we talked about this yesterday, some waves at New England. I'll show you that again in case you missed it coming up in just a moment. And notice another disturbance off to the west on Thursday evening. That's going to move east, and eventually that drives another cold front in here by the end of the weekend. Notice, too, though, and I want to point this out, big atmospheric energy coming down through and south of Alaska. This is only the beginning. There's more of where that came from coming out of Siberia, and this is the beginning of what may be trying to herald in at least a new weather pattern by early November. And I don't mean to get too far ahead of ourselves, but it is pretty interesting because the jet stream overall, the fast river of air that kind of separates cold air to the north from warm to the south, has mostly been riding to our north, and that's where it is now, right? Even Alaska really hasn't seen a whole lot of cold. But watch what happens if I put this in motion, timestamp in the upper left, and show you the jet stream configuration over the rest of this week into the weekend. One big storm digs down even to the jet stream level across Alaska. But that's not the end of it. As we get into next week, there is another one that's going to be coming down out of Siberia. All of these grab Siberian cold, which is impressive, carry it down into Alaska, and as you start to accumulate that cold air in Alaska, you start to carve out a trough in Alaska. The reason that's important is because oftentimes when you see that happen, the next thing is you're going to pop a ridge in the western United States. You can see that starting to develop even by the end of this weekend or early next week, and eventually that can lead to a longer kind of lasting trough in the eastern and northeastern United States. And this is why in pattern predictions yesterday, I had told you that by early November, particularly somewhere around the 7th or somewhere in that time frame, you may start to see that weather pattern changing for the colder, a little bit more stable cold that lasts a little bit longer than what we're seeing. Because admit it, right? What we're dealing with now are these really quick shots. I mean, you've got the cold front Wednesday. There goes the leftovers of Oscar. They make a pretty good storm, but it's way off to our east. So you get that shot of cold Thursday. It's already easing by Friday and Saturday. There could be a shower Saturday morning as a cold front kind of comes in. It's rather slow moving, so it doesn't bring in the cold right away on Saturday, but you'll notice the chill returning on Sunday. You might actually get some decent breakers at the beaches, particularly the Cape Cod National Seashore and the islands. And the reason I say that is because by the time we get particularly here at Thursday, you get swell coming from the south and east out of what's left of Oscar, Plus, you've got an offshore wind. Remember, Thursday is that northwest chilly wind. So it gives you some pretty decent breakers for those of you who like to surf. Notice the swell is still built, particularly over the commercial fishing grounds by the time we get to Friday, and then begins coming down on Saturday. In terms of high temperatures, look, we did set the record yesterday in Boston, in Providence, in Hartford, and a lot of northern New England cities. We are, after cooling a bit today near the coast with an onshore breeze, going to be back into the mid-70s tomorrow. For most of us, this won't quite be records, but certainly impressive warmth for this time of the year. Then it looks like Wednesday night we drop down to the 40s and 50s, but we're doing it with a mild night because there's a few showers. The cold front comes by, and that opens the door. Look at the difference Thursday. Wow, this is going to be a wake-up call, right? It certainly is going to feel like autumnal air. Thursday night, down to the 30s we go. We're back into it. But remember, I told you, even by Friday, starts to ease. You're up around 60 degrees or so. Friday night, you're in the 40s. That's not bad. And Saturday, maybe that morning shower with a cold front coming by, but you still make it to the 60s in southern New England and 50s north. Then you would get the next shot of chill that comes in Sunday, Monday. Although I've been talking just now about that reconfiguration of the jet stream pattern by early November, that leaves Halloween in between. And if you watch pattern predictions from yesterday, you saw me talk about the fact that I think Halloween may be quite mild this year because you're out ahead of whatever the change in the weather pattern is going to be. But you can track it all, 14-day forecast, through Noyes 1 degree outside weather app. That's going to be on the App Store or Google Play. Hope you like this deeper dive. Again, it was kind of like a technical discussion today, but that's the way the inside baseball of meteorology is working today. Look forward to seeing you again later on, always at 1degreeoutside.com.